Welcome to the Temple of Kriya Yoga. It's a pleasure having you here. Yes, yes. And it's a pleasure having this wonderful building to hold this in. Uh, I wish you a very happy fall, and also happy Rosh Hashanah, which is New Year, which is a New Year to the Jewish people. They're both very similar in concept. It's a time to kind of look yourself over and think about your inner self. And my talk today is about letting go, letting go. Where I'm going to start out with a famous yogi story. There's a guru. He's walking along in the very magical forest, and he thinks it's a cat of war. Two cats must be fighting or something. There's terrible moans and yells, and he walks along the path to see what's going on. And there he sees a man holding on to this thorn bush. It was a thorn bush, and he's in agony. And he tells, are you happy holding that thorn bush? No. He says, would you like to get out of that situation? He says, yeah, it could be. He says, take your right arm and pull it slowly away from the thorn bush. The man says, that feels real good. He says, now, take your left arm, slowly take it away from that thorn bush. And he goes, that feels wonderful. You want my thorn bush. I can tell that's what it is. That's kind of the problem of letting go. We hold on to things. Sometimes we don't know why we're holding on to those things, but we got to try to let go of them. And the first thing we're going to think about is letting go of judgmentalness, because we each have some of that in us, I'm afraid. And I'm thinking of a story of myself when the temple was on 505 Michigan Avenue, and Kriyananda was giving a wonderful meditation, and I'm sitting almost at the back of the room, and I see this person is, he's talking, and this person is making motions, and they're talking while Kriyananda's talking. It's awful. And so I waited till I was steaming. And finally, Kriyananda says, namaste. And he goes into his room. And I very shoulders back because I thought I was in the right. Isn't that how sometimes we do? We're kind of judgmental. And I got in back of the woman to find out that this was a deaf woman, deaf mute person. And somebody was explaining with hand signals what Kriyananda was saying. Kriyananda did not need to be defended, first of all. He was doing fine. How throughout the meditation that he did that. But it made me feel this small, that I should have been so judgmental. And often we do that type of thing about different people we meet in our lives. I also think Joanna, who was Kriyananda's first wife, she was a Pisces. And when we opened our new temple in Logan Square, she was in charge of kind of getting the place clean and having us, the disciples, getting the place clean. Well, there were over 200 chairs that had to be cleaned. Well, that seemed like we can all do this. And we took our little cleaning brushes, and we cleaned all the 200, I think it was 230 chairs. Joanna came back and she says, "This is a new temple. Those aren't clean enough." Well, I can't tell you about the grumbling that went on in back of Joanna. And they were, "Oh my, she's just bossing us around." I can still hear her. And she came back with some toothbrushes because these seats had been sitting around. It was originally the Swedish Choral Club, and they were plastic seats, and the dirt over the years, over the decades, kind of gets into the current corner. And Joanna felt, this is our new temple. This is important to Kriyananda for when people come in to feel they're coming into a new, fresh temple. And so everybody got to, and finally, after the second cleaning, she says it's enough. But it always made me kind of sad that people, Joanna was a really sweet person who cared a lot. And I often think at when she was dying, she got cancer, and she had beautiful red hair. She was just lovely hair, and she was proud of it. Well, of course, through the things she was taking, she started losing it. And she would give Kriyananda the hair to give to the birds so they can build their nest. That was the heart of Joanna. And you can't judge someone just because you might get miffed at the way they're doing things. Kind of look at the whole instead of the part. And I mean, I miss Joanna to this day. She also loved animals, so she had many cats and many dogs. And Kriyananda wasn't real fond of that, but he was fond of Joanna, and that her kindness of her heart was important to him. Then we got to let go of the hurts and practice forgiveness. You got to, was a wonderful little saying, and I think to forgive is to set a prisoner free and to discover that prisoner is you. When you forgive, it lets your soul free. You can't keep hurting yourself. You have to be first on the list to forgive and then forgive others. You got to really send love to yourself. It's just, it's very important. This was a story from the temple. A very famous guru from the temple was giving a beautiful bejeweled Buddha, and everybody was kind of looking forward to it. And he sent two of the disciples to go collect it at the boat or whatever it was. And they went, oh, they were so excited. They got to the Buddha and they strapped it down every side to hold that Buddha down. And oh, it's beautiful. And they drove, it was a truck, and they were driving the truck. It was a rather bumpy road, and they tried to keep an eye on it. And they got back to the ashram. They got out to get the Buddha off. The Buddha was gone. It had been strapped down so much they could not figure out. They started crying. They said, let's drive the truck back and see if it popped off along the way. That's what they did. They got back in that truck and went bumpa-da, 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 back down that same road to try to find the Buddha. They never found it. They had to come back to the guru. They were in tears, beating their breast, and they got back to the ashram and they found the guru. And they said, we lost it. It's gone. I don't know how we lost it. It was strapped down. The guru put his arms around the two of them and he said, you are my jeweled Buddha. Please, come inside. Let's have some orange juice or something. He didn't even have to forgive because he knew, I mean, he knew what was important in the essence of life. And they had a long time to truly forgive themselves. They thought that they did, but it took a while. But it's important that you do forgive yourself of anything like that. You got to love yourself. I mean, you're the only you. You're the best you can be. And it's really kind of important that you learn to love yourself. What? Oh, there was another magic forest. And the disciple is walking along it, and lo and behold, he sees his guru sitting there under this beautiful tree, a magic tree, of course. And as he was walking toward his guru, he stumbled upon a magic lamp. Ooh, that's kind of exciting. So he picks up the lamp and he asks his guru, do I get 3 wishes? And his guru, I think so. So he picked it up, he rubbed it, but the guru said, be aware that you don't think of tigers. That seems simple enough. And he starts to rub and rub and rub. He says, for my first wish, I want a lot of money. So the guru said, you have to be very specific as to what you want. How much money? He says, I want $100. So he rubs the lamp, and as he's rubbing, he hears a faint grrr, but he pays no mind. There, $100 falls right into his hands. Oh, I'm rich. And he says, I better make another wish. So he takes the lamp and he rubs the lamp again. This time, he didn't only hear a grrr, he starts to see a thing or two, a wet, shiny thing in the back of his mind. So he decides, I want a delicious, wonderful meal, the best meal I could ever have. And poof, along comes the tiger carrying his big old meal. And well, the guy gets very, very upset, and he throws the money thinking maybe that'll take off the tiger, and the tiger's chasing him around and around and around this beautiful tree where his guru's sitting. So he says, Guru, what should I do? Help me. He says, you still got another wish. So he says, oh, please take away the tiger. And poof, there goes the tiger, and there goes the food, and there goes the money, and along the road, our little disciple walks away. He may be poor, but he's just a little closer to enlightenment. I love that story. So don't think of tigers when you rub any magic lamp. Next thing is letting things go, starting as if I'm not moving, but I've lived in the same apartment for 23 years. And I did not know I had so many clothes put in every little area until I started pulling them out. And I was shocked. I ended up with something like 12 bags of clothes. So I, I found things that still had their tags on them. That's a pretty sad statement. They were nice. All the things were nice, but I sent them off to different places and I smiled as I sent them off. It made me very happy. I knew I was going to make a lot of people happy with the different clothes that I sent. You never send it off sad. It's not sad. You're making somebody else happy with something really nice. And I think that's really important. You have to feel a joy in giving up things. And there's a wonderful book here. I found this in Walgreens, believe it or not. They had a table of things 80% off or something. For $3.98, I got this. So it's called Lightly, and it's one of the most beautiful books that how to live a simple, serene, and stress-free life. And she covers so many areas. I was so happy I found this book. And I give them away after don't hold on to the books. Read them, enjoy them, gather from them what you can, pass them on. Let somebody else learn from them and enjoy them. This is something I just never thought about. I've been in yoga for 55 years or something, and this was the yoga stages of Patanjali's outline the 5 yamas. I knew about the 5 yamas, but I really never thought about the 5th one out there. The list of self-restraint to help us live more ethically, enlightened, and harmonious lives. The first 4 are ahimsa, nonviolence, satya, truthfulness, asteya, non-stealing, and brahmacharya, moderation. The 5th is aparigraha, aparigraha, which is the virtue of non-possessiveness or non-attachment. I think that is, I never thought of it. I've been in yoga for 55 years, and I never thought about that particular area. Maybe I didn't want to. Think so? But now I realize how important it is. That you grow. That's one thing with yoga is you may read something and doesn't pay too much attention to it at the time, but then you begin to see what the meaning of things written 5,000 years ago have for in your life. So this is a beautiful book. I really tell everybody to read it. It's so beautiful, and it's how to downsize a house, but be happy with it, and that's terrific. Some of the ways to lighten yourself is the first thing is take a class, something you might not be very much aware of or not especially interested in. And I think of when I was in my seminary here, and at the time I went, it was a 3-year, and we had already been going for over 2 years. And all of a sudden, Kriyananda said, the light has gone out. This is it. We're not going to have any more. Oh my God. I can't tell you all the renting of the breast and the pounding and the crying. And I remember walking out of the class, and Joanna was there, and she grabbed me in her arms, and I said, oh, he disbanded the class, the seminary. And she said, oh, he can be a mean man sometimes. And And that's exactly what I needed to hear at that time, because it was just terrifying. So we got together, the people in the class, and said, we're not going to end this. This seminary is going on. I don't care what Kriya this is. We were pretty bold at that time. And so we said, we're going to each teach the class, taking the class that is the most difficult class that we did not understand or found it the hardest to understand. And that's what we did. It's kind of interesting because I believe Marcia took astrology, and now she's a great astrologer. But she took the thing that was the hardest for her to understand at that time. And so sometimes if you take something that you just don't really get exactly, it's a good way by taking a class in it or trying to learn something new. I'm trying to remember which one I took. I think it was giving a talk, if I'm not mistaken. Then help others who are in need. I mean, there's a thing by Rumi, I love it. It says, be a lamp or a lifeboat or a ladder. Help someone's soul heal. Walk out of your house like a shepherd. That Rumi, really, he wrote some wonderful, wonderful things. And it's true. You will find great joy through helping others do many, many things. Whether I love teaching meditation, you find something that you really are especially love that you think maybe you can pass on to someone else. That's as much letting go, because then you're giving them something that they can take into their life, which is wonderful. Move. Move is one of the best way of letting go, because you have to. You even if you've only lived a place a year, you've got accumulated things, many things I'm sure that you could just let go of. And there's other people who really might enjoy it. So try to always think that maybe somebody would enjoy what I can't use at this time, and let it go. It's fun. Think a new thought. That's one of the best ways of letting go. Either teaching a class or taking a class. I mean, it's just many ways of letting go. Let's get comfortable, and we'll have a little meditation. Let's close the eyes, and we're going to go nice inside ourselves. It's a nice place to be. I want you to begin to breathe in, and we're going to grow a little seed. Grow that little seed. It's a seed of love. We all have some love inside us, but let's grow some more. With every inhalation, breathe in a little bit deeper. Fill your stomach up with the love that's forming a bigger seed. Let it go beyond just your stomach. Fill up your whole chest area with love. What a wonderful thing to fill yourself up with. Deep breathe. Deep breathe. Deep breathe. When you're very, 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 very full, as full as you can get, let go. Send it out. Send it out to your neighbor. Send it outside. Send it out to the people on the street. Send it out to your enemy. Send it out to your friend. Send it out to your family. It feels so good. And you know what? You're going to fill up with it just as much the next moment. You're going to always be full of love. It's a good place to be. I want to tell you a little bit about Nasruddin. Nasruddin is kind of the wise fool, and there's so many stories about him. This is one of my favorites. He wrote something in the paper about having a lecture, that he was the greatest lecturer, and he was going to give a lecture. So the group decided, this sounds interesting. I'd like to hear him. I've heard of him. And they invited Nasruddin to lecture in their place. So the big moment came where Nasruddin came in and he says, do you know what I'm going to talk about? And everybody says, no. He says, well, why should I tell you then? And he turned around and walked out. They did not understand this at all. So they let's ask him back again. So they all got together and blah, 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 blah. They asked him to come back again. So he very, very begrudgingly said, all right. So the big day arrived. Everybody's sitting tense. And Nasruddin comes to the dais and he says, do you know what I'm going to speak about? And they say, yes. And he says, why should I tell you anything? Then he turns around and he walks out. Well, they are really totally, they don't know what to do. But they authorize someone to go and ask again. Please come. I know you know so much, and we would like to know. Please come back. So he very begrudgingly says, all right. They set up a day. He comes. He tends to kind of push out his chest and marches up to the front. And he says, do you know what I'm going to talk about? They were smart this time, or thought they were. One half of the audience says, no. The other half said, yes. So he said, well, then the ones who know what they're going to talk about, please tell it to the people who don't know what they're talking about. And he walked out. So I love that because it really tells a lot about that we can all teach each other something. And that's one of the ways of letting go by teaching, by sharing. You are the best sharer of anyone. And that's, I love that particular, I love all the Nasruddin stories. There's another one, it's not so much about what we're talking, but he hears a big commotion by the water, and he goes over and somebody has been pushed into the water, and it wasn't the big pasha, and he has a jewel crest on his head, and so he's going down once. Nasruddin, he says, please give me your hand. He says, no. He says, give me your hand. No, going down for the third time. comes up and he says, "Take my hand." And the Pasha then takes his hand. Think about give me and take me. I love that story too. Nasruddin, there are hundreds of stories about him, but he is, whenever I think of the fool in the cards, I always think of Nasruddin. He would probably be the perfect fool. Oops, don't want to drop any of my papers. There's a very beautiful, beautiful poem. It's not a poem, it's a prayer. It's a Cherokee prayer. The American Indians have some of the most beautiful prayers and I love this one. "Oh, great spirit, help me always to speak the truth quietly, to listen with an open mind when others are speaking, and to remember the peace that may be found in silence." It says so much about meditation, about just being, and find ways to give. That you're not losing anything when you give. It makes other people happy, whether it's cooking them a dinner or making a little tea. It's always good to give, it helps you to let go. That is the whole essence of letting go. Let's find one more. Let's go inside, find a nice quiet place. Deep inhalation. Feel centered. Feel the peacefulness of just sitting still. It is the greatest gift that you can give yourself. There's things going on at all times. Don't let them pull you aside. Find the quiet. There's always a quiet inside you, no matter how much traffic going outside. Within you, there's a quiet. Embrace it. Feel the love. Feel the love in giving to others. Always feel good about taking love from others. That's good too. It's just not a thing. We kind of got to get rid of the concept of things. Breathe deep. Feel at peace. Get in touch with that quiet sense of yourself. Let go of the pain, of the suffering. Find the peace that's within yourself. It's always there. Find the best of you and share it with others. Let it go. There was a beautiful song I remember that in school. Peace, we ask of thee, O river, peace, peace, peace. Whenever I think of flowing water, it makes me feel peaceful. And take this quiet with you as you go into the world and share it with others. Thank you so much for being a part of the meditation. And I have to let go of things too. I'm an artist. So I brought my artwork down, and I want you each to take a piece if you would like it. If there, he's laying it out there. It's all different. I do a lot of things of meditation, and I do. There's always a unicorn, and there's always a cat, and there's always a sun, a moon, or a star. And I hope it brings you some joy to bring home a piece of artwork from my heart to yours. Thank you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. He's putting them up out there.